Good morning. So who'd like a coffee? Who would like to go out and actually share a bit of time together and have a nice coffee in a nice coffee shop? And how often do you actually sit down with your friends and have a good chat and a natter over a hot drink or even a cold drink at this time of year? So today I want to explore the difference between social media and going out for a coffee. My name is Mandie Cran and welcome to my moment of reflection for the week. I've been doing these moments of reflection for about 5 years, and really my aim is to help you take a moment out of your busy day and just reflect on something you might not otherwise have thought about, because we're all busy and we rush around day to day doing everything we do in our busy lives, and sometimes just taking that moment out can just give us a little bit of a aha moment. So that's what this is all about. So the quote for today is, "A cup of coffee shared with a friend is happiness tasted and time well spent." Now, social media is great, isn't it? We're all in social media and it's booming sort of year on year as to what's available out there. And it's a fantastic way to reconnect with old people, find people you've lost touch with, keep up to date with what's going on in people's lives without actually having to spend an awful lot of time investing in it, because we can just watch them on social media. And so we're sort of engaged in their lives, but not completely. And that has many merits. When I was young, you had to actually meet people, write a letter or pick up the phone to get to know people and keep in touch with them, which of course much more time consuming. And as a result, over the years, I've lost touch with an awful lot of people, very, very sadly. And so social media gives us a really good way to connect with people and keep in touch. But it does have its downsides. One of the problems with social media is you end up knowing 1,000 people very, very slightly, as opposed to 10 people really, really well. And it's quite a superficial relationship most of the time. We like people's posts and we might make the odd comment here and there, but you're not really engaging, really getting to know somebody in the way, perhaps in the old-fashioned way we might have done. And some of it can be quite artificial. It's quite easy to hide behind social media. And of course, you can also say things on social media that can get misinterpreted if you're not careful, because of course you don't hear the tone in which it's said. And that is a real danger. So I wanted to look this morning at the benefits of actually sitting down for having a coffee with somebody. And the first thing is, if somebody's actually agreed to meet you for a coffee, then they've agreed to take 2 or 3 hours out of a probably very busy day, and therefore they feel it's really going to be worth sitting down with you. And that's actually a compliment. You really need to see that as a compliment. They obviously feel they're going to get something and have a lot of fun over having a drink with you, or perhaps if it's business, then get something worthwhile out of it. So that's really important to think about the time that people are investing in you if you're having a coffee with them. The second thing is, I think is most important, is that when you sit down with somebody across a table, you can see the body language and they can see yours. You therefore can have a much more meaningful conversation, because 70% of your communication is through body language. And if you're on the phone or on social media or email, you can't see that 70%. So it's so easy for things to be misinterpreted. And I've therefore found that when you're sitting down with somebody, you can much more intuitively understand where they're going. They can intuitively more understand where you're going. You can connect much better. If you have a misunderstanding, you can sort it out much more easily. And I found that to be really, really powerful. And if you're sitting down over business, again, you can be a much, much more productive meeting. What started perhaps as a bit of antagonism, certainly in my last career, often there's been a bit of an issue here, let's sit down and sort it out over a coffee. And you sit down over a coffee and suddenly it's not an issue at all. And I would always believe in meeting somebody, and I would frequently get out of my office and go and walk wherever it was, or cycle to a neighbouring office block or something, and actually go into their office and say, right, let's sit down and have a chat. And 9 times out of 10, we could resolve it very amicably. Whereas if the emails ping back and forth, it all got out of hand. So body language is a really important part of meeting. But the third thing is that we all need human interaction. A lot of people hide behind social media and spend all their time on their phones and so on. But the reality is we're humans, we're animals, and we need that social interaction. There was a very interesting study done by the Soviets back in the 1960s. And what they did is they took a group of babies who were all orphans, and for 6 months they were allowed to have food, water, and to be changed, but they weren't allowed any human touching. No hugs, no cuddles, nothing like that. They'd be changed and put back down again. And they were all kept separate in separate rooms. Well, after 6 months, guess how many babies were still alive? And the very sad fact was, none of them. It was a terrible, terrible study, but it does illustrate how important that human interaction is with other people. So by all means, social media to reconnect with people and get to know them again, but then I would take it back to the old-fashioned way of doing it as quickly as you can, whether it's on the phone, having a chat, or actually meeting over a coffee. And what I found really interesting is, even though the high street shops are dying weekly, the number of coffee shops which are growing is quite phenomenal. So people have actually doing a swing back from doing everything online, whereas actually we do need to go out and meet people and have a sensible conversation about things, whether it's for pleasure or for business. So I think that's really, really interesting that this is actually coming around full circle already. So my question for you this week is, who would like a coffee? I actually don't drink coffee, but I'll probably have a smoothie instead. But if you live within 20 miles of Cirencester, I'd love to get together for a coffee and just reconnect. I'm very conscious there's a lot of people out there who I've lost touch with over the last few years for a variety of reasons, and we've all been busy. So that would be lovely to get together and have a natter again. So that offer is on the table if you'd like it. If we haven't met yet, then my name is Mandie Cran, and people come to me when they realise that they need to make changes in their life if they want to have better health and quality family time in the years ahead. So if that connects with you, then let's have a coffee. And if you're more than 20 miles away, then perhaps it might be a virtual coffee online, but let's have a chat anyway. I won't be here next week. My daughter's home from uni and I want to spend some time with her, so I don't see her very often. So I'm going to take a pause next week. But the following week, I'm going to be back and I'm going to be talking about hobbies. So join me live, 10 o'clock, 2 weeks' time on Friday here on Facebook, and have a fabulous couple of weeks.